A very good morning, my dear students. Today we are going to see about chapter number 3, computer organization. It is also comes from the unit number 1, that is what fundamentals of computers. And this lesson especially, what are the learning objectives of learning this chapter number 3? We'll see one by one. So first of all, to know the organization of computers and components and their interconnections. And the next one, what is processor? What are the characteristics properties about processor? Then number 3, to know the importance of memory devices and their roles and responsibilities in computer. And number 4, to explore random access memory and read-only memory. What is the difference between these two? The next, to know about cache memories and how it improves the performance of your computer. Then to know the secondary devices and their usage. What are the different types of secondary devices we have and then their uses. Then finally, to know about the different types of ports, external ports in your CPU and what are the interfaces and what are the main purpose of that ports and all. So these are the learning objectives once we are going to learn about this chapter number 3. Shall we start? Yes. So first one, introduction part. So what is computer organization? What does it mean? Computer organization is nothing but it deals with hardware components of your computer system. Hardware components means what? What are the physical parts of the computers? That is nothing but what? Hardware components. It includes input and output devices, central processing unit, that is what? CPU, and storage devices, and also primary memory part. So these all are included in the hardware components. These things already we know. So once again we recall it. And it is concerned with how the various components of computers hardware should operate. How can you operate the various components of your computers especially, okay? And it also deals with, it also means what? This chapter deals with how they are interconnected to implement an architectural specification, okay? So what are the architectural specification if you want to connect or if you want to use for the particular devices in your computer? So these are the main points are included for this chapter, okay? Then this computer organization looks like a similar to the term of computer architecture. So what is another name of computer organization means? Computer architecture. What is the meaning of architecture? Generally, architectures are deals with the engineering consideration involved in a system generally. Here, we are going to use or apply the same concept in computers. So the computer architecture deals with the consideration of computers and designing what they are involved inside the computers, everything. On the other hand, computer organizations are deals with hardware components. Yeah, of course. This organizations are mainly deals with hardware components of your computer that is transparent to the programmer. Okay, that is the transparent way it will be exposed to the particular process. Okay, we'll see. The first thing, the first topic 3.2, basics of microprocessor. So what are the basic informations about microprocessor? So what is microprocessor? What it will do in computer, how it should be create or invent. Okay, we are going to discuss about that. The first point, the CPU, that is what? Central processing unit is the major component of your computer. Yeah, of course, we all are very well about that. CPU is the major component. Without the CPU, you can't able to execute or run the computer. Is it correct or not? Yes. It will perform all the task. Task is nothing but job or work. Okay. Next, this is the realized by the microprocessor, which is an integrated circuit. That means what? This microprocessor should be connected with integrated circuits. That means the basics of microprocessor about that. A microprocessor looks like a integrated circuit. Simply we call IC. Okay. In IC, we are using in the motherboard. If you are fixing the integrated circuit, automatically it should be working in the motherboard. That IC should be called as what? Microprocessor. We'll see how it should be looks like. Then after that you can understand what I am saying. So this microprocessor were first introduced in early 70s, that is what 1970s. And also the first general purpose of microprocessor, that is what 4004, that is the name of the microprocessor. It was developed by Intel Incorporation, by Intel company. You know the company name? Yeah, nowadays so many motherboards, so many processors are developed by the company name is what? Intel. INC means incorporation. At the very first microprocessor name is what? 4004. Microprocessor 4004. It is the general purpose microprocessor. The microprocessor is nothing but it is a programmable multi-purpose silicon chip. So what does microprocessor means? It is a programmable multi-purpose silicon chip. It was driven by clock pulses. How it should be working? It is driven by clock pulses. So what is the need? They are using clock pulses. Then only the data should be processed at what time or which time or how much time it will take to perform or process any data or execution. That's why they are added in the microprocessor. So the microprocessor is a programmable multi-purpose silicon chip. It is driven by clock pulses and it accepts input as a binary data. Please note of the point. It accepts input as a binary data. Already we discussed in the previous and first chapter, all the data should be received from the user. The machine should be understand only by binary. Is it correct or not? Why? Because machine knows only the machine language. So that machine languages are understood only binary data. So that's why here I am telling it accept the input as a binary data and after processing it provides the output data as per the instructions stored in the memory. So what instructions we given, as per the instructions your output data should be stored in the memory part. Why we are storing in the memory part? Whenever you can give any type of inputs, the machine automatically receive all the instructions from the user and process it as per the instruction and it will be stored into the memory part. Okay, then finally it should be sending the information as an output to the user. Okay, so this is a general process. So this process all are maintained and controlled by the microprocessor. Understood? Right. Here I just show the block diagram of a microprocessor based on the system process. You just see that this is a diagrammatic representation how the microprocessor working. See that. So this is input device. Okay. So what input device we are using for given input to the computer? One is keyboard, another one is what, mouse or voice recognition software, whatever it is. Whatever the input device you can use for giving input to the computer. After giving the input, it will be received from the input device and it will be stored into the memory part. Then after that, it will be ready to the process by the control of this microprocessor. Okay, under the control of microprocessor, all the actions, all the input data should be ready to execute as per the user's instruction. So whether it is ALU unit or control unit, whatever it is. So if you are applying or if you are doing arithmetic and logical unit means this unit will be controlled are taken the in charge to perform all the executions regarding about that, and control unit, all are involving together. So these all the three parts should be functioning with the help of microprocessor. So this is the outer line should be called as what? Microprocessor. So why they are mentioning means this microprocessor is the only option. It will be performing all the execution process inside the CPU. Understood? Then finally, after processing everything, it will be stored into the memory unit and it will be taken from here to send it to the output device. So this is a diagrammatic or pictorial representation of microprocessor function. Is it understand, my dear students? Yes. The next, this microprocessor, as per the diagrammatic representation, it is made up of three main units. What are the main units? Already we know well. Number one, ALU, that is arithmetic and logic unit. It is the unit are present inside the CPU. It performs all the arithmetic calculation and the logical instructions based on the computer instructions. So what instructions we are giving, as per the instruction, this arithmetic and logical unit will be performed. The next one, control unit. So what does it mean? To control the overall operations of the computer through signals. Through the signals means what? Both input and output signals. Okay, through the electric signals, the control unit should control overall operations in the computer. That is very, very important. Then number three, registers. Registers is nothing but internal memory. It is mainly used to hold the instructions and data for the execution of the processor. So registers include what? It is one type of internal memory. What is the main purpose of this internal memory? If your data or instructions are ready to execute by the processor, this is the location to store all the informations. Okay, what it will be performed or what instructions and what executions we are going to make with the help of microprocessor. Everything will be stored in this register. Okay, yes. So through these registers, the processors will be executed all the instructions and data by the user. So okay, yes. Right. So these are the main important component or unit involving in the microprocessor. The next topic, what are the characteristics of microprocessor? So what is the main characteristics involving in the microprocessor? We'll see that. Microprocessor performance depends on the following characteristics. These are the three important characteristics properties of microprocessor. Number one, clock speed. Number two, instruction set. Number three, word size. Okay, we'll see one by one. What is the meaning of this? So what is clock speed? It is the first characteristics properties of microprocessor. It is nothing but every microprocessor has an internal clock. Already we discussed, right? Clock pulse. The microprocessor working under the clock pulse. That's why we are telling like it is driven by clock pulse, right? So every microprocessor has an internal clock that regulates the speed at which it executes instructions. So what is the main purpose of this internal clock? It should be regulate, it should be maintain the speeds of execute the instructions. So the speed at the microprocessor executes instruction is called clock speed. So what is clock speed? That is nothing but the speed at which the microprocessor executes the instruction. Okay, in how much time it will take to perform any action or to execute any instructions inside the microprocessor. That is nothing but what? Clock speed. So this clock speed is measured in megahertz or gigahertz. Okay, nowadays all the processors should be involving gigahertz. That is the latest version. That is high speed processor are using for all the electronic discoveries. So okay, so what is the use of this clock speed? Did you understand, my dear students? Yes. The number two, instruction set. What does it mean? The word have a meaning. Instruction set. That is not set of instructions. So already I told, if you are following one thing means that is known as what? Instruction. Here also the computer should be following some instructions. Okay. So a command which is given to a computer to perform an operation on data is called instructions. Just note of it, my dear students. So what is instruction? That is nothing but what? A command which is given to a computer to perform an operation on data is called instructions. So if you want to perform any operations on data as per the command by the user, that is nothing but what? Instructions. It is a basic set of machine level instructions that a microprocessor is designed to execute is called instruction set. So what is instruction? What is instruction set? Did you feel the difference? Using the microprocessor as per the machine level instructions, if you want to perform any action or if you want to execute any action on the data, that is nothing but what? Instruction set. This instruction set carries out the following types of operations. So what are the types of operations we'll do? Number one, data transfer. It is one of the action. Number two, arithmetic operations. Number three, as well as logical operations. Number four, control flow. And number five, input and output process. These are the five different types of operations we'll do by the instruction set. Is it okay for you? Yes. Then number three, word size. What does it mean? So what is the meaning of this? The number of bits that can be processed by a processor in a single instruction. It is nothing but what? Word size. That means what? In a single instruction, what we are given to the computer, that instructions carried by the processor, okay? So that processor will perform or execute the number of bits. That is nothing but what? Word size, okay? The word size determines the amount of RAM that can be accessed by the microprocessor. So how can we identify or how can you determine the particular process about the word size? How much RAM you have or how much of RAM should be occupied for performing the action in the microprocessor? That is nothing but what? Word size. Okay, so using the microprocessor, how much space should be using from the RAM and how much data should be processed in a single instruction set, that is nothing but what? Word size. So these are the three important operations are performing by the microprocessor. So these are the three important things. So please remind that. Okay. Yes. Do you know? See that this content is not available in your textbook. I just saw that. So already I told no. The first commercial microprocessor, the first general purpose microprocessor name is what? 4004 by developed by which company? Intel. So this is the picture. It is a 4-bit processor. And this is nothing but, it is nothing but looks like a IC. This is IC. We are simply called this is what? IC, integrated circuit. It has a 4 input pins and 4 output pins. See that? The first 4 is input pin, the next 4 is output pins. Okay, it is always equal to the number of input and output. So number of input pins, how much is there? The same number of pins are allocated for output also. Okay, and it can process 4 bits at a time. So how much bits of data should be processed at a time? 4 bits of data. So it is called what type of processor? 4-bit processor. Okay, yes. And apart from this, Intel Incorporation company released so many microprocessors like Intel 8085. It is an 8-bit processor. So 8-bit processor name, what is that? 8085. And Intel 8086, which is a 16-bit processor, and so on. And currently most of the microprocessors are used both the 32-bit and 64-bit architecture. It is the current scenario. Okay, so right from 4, the next one 8, the next one 16. Now currently we are using 32 and 64-bit architecture. Okay, so these are the general informations about what? This first general purpose microprocessor. Is it okay for you, my dear students? Yes. The next topic, data communication between the CPU and memory. How much or how the data communication process will be happen between the CPU and memory. We'll see in the next class. Okay. Thank you all of you.